Welcome to the best football show. I'm Brian Baldinger at Baldy NFL. You can find this podcast almost daily. All right, right where you get your free. You can download the Odyssey app for free. Like it, subscribe to it, follow this, like it, tell your friends about it. We're trying to grow it, and it's the playoff season. So personally, I was in Orlando this weekend announcing the Hula Bowl. A lot of good young players at that game. A lot of good coaches. Brian Billick, Mike Smith, Mike Tyson, good young coaches, some good young prospects. But I got back in time in order to let's just start right here with the news of the day, all right, because we've got breaking news. The Dallas Cowboys have agreed to part ways mutually with Mike McCarthy, the head coach, after 5 years. Prior to this year, Mike McCarthy had won 12 games. Went 12-5, 3 years in a row. Number one offensive football, all kinds of great stuff. But they were 1-3 in the playoffs. A lot of disappointing losses. Last year, of course, losing to the Packers in the first round at home, losing to the 49ers at home. A lot of disappointing playoff losses. But I think this is significant because I think if Mike McCarthy wanted to stay, he could have stayed. They could have made an agreement. But it's mutual. Mike McCarthy is looking at a team that is not a very good roster. And he's like, what am I supposed to do with this roster? We won 7 games this year with this roster. How do we improve the roster? And it's not going to get a whole lot better anytime faster. They lost DeMarvion Overshown. If Zach Martin, is he going to play again? I mean, there's a lot of question marks. Does Dak Prescott come back healthy? Does he get a contract? All these things. There's a lot of question marks about this roster. We said it last year when we thought it was an incomplete roster. So Mike McCarthy, who knows? I mean, if you listen to the rumors, does he have a shot to go to Chicago? I mean, if I'm Chicago, I'm interested in Mike McCarthy with a young quarterback in Caleb Williams. He's coached with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre and Dak Prescott. He's had a lot of success with quarterbacks. He's had the number one offense football. He's won a Super Bowl. There's a lot to like about Mike McCarthy, but I'm just wondering, after watching what the Commanders did last night and to see Dan Quinn in his first year win 13 games so far, they get a chance to go to Detroit this weekend in the playoffs. But Dan Quinn in his first year has won 13 games. You just wonder, did Jerry Jones wait too long to make this move? He had Dan Quinn right there for 3 years. When they were 12-5 3 years in a row, the Cowboys, over a 3-year span of time, led the league in takeaways. You saw him last night take the ball away. Bobby Wagner on that loose ball in the fourth quarter. Big turnaround in that game. Anyways, Cowboys agree to part ways. The Patriots, let's get to the Patriots. They agree on a contract with Mike Vrabel. You could just feel that when they released Gerard Mayo and, there was Robert Kraft just, almost in tears having to make the decision. He knew that he had a chance to get Mike Vrabel. And Mike Vrabel has a lot more experience than Gerard Mayo and coached well in Tennessee. Had good teams, had the number one seed in the AFC 3 years ago. Got beat by Cincinnati that won the AFC that year, went to Kansas City and won. So they had, Derrick Henry. They had A.J. Brown. They had an elite roster, at one point. He helped build that. I got to believe that when Robert Kraft made that move last week, that it was with the idea that he was going to bring Mike Vrabel back into the nest. So it's good. I mean, honestly, when Mike Vrabel was released last year, I don't know why the Patriots didn't jump on him right there. When Tennessee released him, unceremoniously, on a bad roster. Although they beat and knocked Jacksonville out of the playoffs in Week 18 last year. So anyways, that was that's higher. So now we have 4 other coaching vacancies that have to be filled. But Mike Vrabel is now off the list. We'll see what the Cowboys decide to do. Let's get to the playoffs. Because like I said, I was at the Hula Bowl, got back in time to watch the Steelers and the Ravens. And it's just unbelievable. The Steelers have played the Ravens now 3 times in 8 weeks. Nobody has more tape on the Baltimore Ravens run game than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They played them 3 times in 8 weeks. That doesn't happen in the NFL. Rarely. I'm sure that some stat nerd can look that up for me when that happened last. And the Ravens run for 300 yards against you? They run for 3, and they have Deshaun Elliott, who played for the Ravens and was on that roster with Lamar. And they have Patrick Queen that was there with Lamar. Like, nobody knows that offense better than the Steelers. And they had no idea how to stop the Ravens for running actually for 299 yards and run them right out of the gym. You can talk about Pittsburgh's offense and Russell Wilson. We knew they were going to have trouble. We knew that the offense isn't a playoff winning offense. But we thought if the defense could get some takeaways, if the defense could stop this running attack that they're familiar with, they could keep it a close game, but they couldn't do it. In fact, on one of the runs, Lamar, I broke it down in Baldy's breakdowns yesterday morning. First breakdown I did yesterday morning was Lamar literally taking Patrick Queen, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Deshaun Elliott all out of the box and removing them as he handed the ball off to Derrick Henry, and he went 44 yards up the middle for basically the breakaway touchdown. And it was just, you're like, why isn't Patrick Queen in the A-gap where he belongs, where he just ran the ball? But they didn't. They played some other game, and they had no answer. And then T.J. Watt was not in the stat column. Now, he tackled a lot of running backs. He tackled 6 running backs, solo tackles. Just so happened that Lamar Jackson was running with it the other direction. They had no answer for the run game. So the Ravens move on, and we'll have the battle of the MVPs next week in Buffalo as the Ravens take on the Bills. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. It's great. So let's get to the next game. Let's get to the Bills game and their win yesterday, the 1 o'clock game, as the Denver Broncos went up there. And as I'm watching this game, I'm watching the Bills just take the Broncos apart. I'm sitting there and saying to myself, man, the Bills are lucky that the Broncos are here. They're lucky that everything worked out where Cincinnati didn't get one more win. Because I said it all week long the prior week. If Cincinnati gets in, they're going to give the Bills problems because they can score. And Joe Burrow can play at an MVP level. And he's got elite receivers to carve up that secondary. Something that Bo Nix in his first year had a good game, didn't turn the ball over, did some good things, but they don't have a run game the way the Ravens do. They don't have – and then the matchup was difficult for the Broncos defense. Really, there was nobody for Patrick Surtain to really match up with. They don't really have a number one receiver. Cortland Sutton is their best receiver. But, they spray the ball around to Marvin Mims and Deshaun Villay and, Lucas. They spread the ball around. They're not a dynamic offense. They have to play a certain way. And honestly, the Bills' offensive line is so underrated. They're one of the top 3 offensive lines. And look, we have the Eagles, we have the Lions, we have the Bills. We have some of the best offensive lines in all of football in the final 8 teams divisional round of the playoffs. Deion Dawkins did a great job out there on, the star defensive end of the Broncos. But I thought they handled Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers. I mean, they ran for 210 yards right at it. Like, Bills don't change their run game. They run tackle trap, inside zone. They don't do a lot. They get short yardage. They give it to Josh Allen. Like, they don't really try to fool you. They just try to beat you up. And that's what they did with James Cook yesterday. And honestly, is there a better third down back? I know there is, probably. But for Buffalo, just saying for the Bills, if they had a better third down back than Ty Johnson, I mean, he catches the opening touchdown pass of the game. And it's a scramble drill. And he's back there, the back of the letters where he gets, freed. And, the safety is right there, P.J. Combs. And, Josh Allen throws a laser on the run to Ty Johnson on 4th down, 4th and 2, I believe it was. He makes that touchdown throw to Ty Johnson. And it really got the Bills going, got them on the board. And then they just wear you down. Now, The Bills defense, they don't give up big plays. They keep everything in front of you. They play from top down. They keep everything in front. They don't let you get behind them. And so the Broncos did it, and they owned that game. The next game up was the Eagles. And while they scored, they knocked Keyshawn Nixon like silly on the opening kickoff of the game. My dad used to call it the nut squad. Like, here's Oren Burks coming down and just smashing Keyshawn Nixon. The ball pops out. Baby Trotter recovers it. Eagles get great field position. And on the third play of the game, Jalen Hurts hits Jahan Dotson. And, look, the Packers are playing a matchup zone defense. Everybody's plastered. Oh, by the way, Jalen Hurts had 7 seconds to hold the ball and to reset, step up in the pocket. And the only guy that uncovered on the play was Jahan Dotson. And Jalen Hurts found it. Now, they were awful in the passing game otherwise. Third downs, it didn't matter. Third downs, 3rd and 10. They didn't try to attack. They got an early 10-0 lead, and they just sat on it. And they really never tried to attack. A.J. Brown's reading a book on the sideline. I don't blame him. They didn't look at it. He caught one pass for 10 yards. Is it a team win? It's supposed to be. But A.J. Brown is bored out of his skull, and I don't blame him. They didn't attack. It didn't look like a playoff offense. But maybe Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni said, you know what, our defense is completely controlling this game. And they did. I mean, they got the 4 takeaways, 3 interceptions of Jordan Love. The first by Darius Slay on a go route to Dontavius Wicks. And it's a great play. He does a little veteran move of just hooking his arm to stay in phase, look back for the ball, catch the ball. Defensively, Nolan Smith played his best game for the Eagles he's played in 2 years. And these Georgia kids, Nolan Smith Jr., Jalen Carter was dominant. Nakobe Dean is a shame. He's out for the playoffs. He got hurt, but he was playing well before him. Oren Burke stepped in, played well. Zach Bond is an all-pro player. He's an all-pro linebacker. He's an unbelievable player. He's everywhere. He makes every right read. Can't be blocked. If you don't block him, he makes every tackle. So the Eagles defense, they hold the Packers to 10 points. Yes, Josh Jacobs had some good runs. He really did. He's a great player. He had a 32-yard run, set up their only touchdown of the day, 1-yard plunge. But other than that, Eagles defense, they didn't give them up anything. Like, they played great football. Physically, they whipped the Packers at the line of scrimmage. They won the line of scrimmage. They won the game. Let's get to the nightcap, because that was the one good game all weekend. The Commanders and Bucks. And honestly, it came down to two mishaps by the Bucks in the fourth quarter. 2. With the Bucks up 17-13 in the fourth quarter, top of the fourth quarter, they run a fly sweep to Jalen McMillan. And I don't know what happened. I mean, it's clearly a fly sweep. Like, much to, Chris Collinsworth or anybody else, this was not a play-action pass. This was a run all the way. Tristan Wirfs is pulling. The wide receivers are blocking. They're going to hand the ball off to Jalen McMillan on a fly sweep and see what they can get on first down. And they fumble the exchange. And Bobby Wagner recovers it. And a couple plays later, Jane Daniels throws a touchdown pass to go up 20-17. Advance it into the fourth quarter. It's a 2017 game. The Bucks have 2nd and 1. They're knocking. Where are they? At the 12-yard line someplace? They're knocking. They might, if they score a touchdown, it's 6 minutes to go in the game. They're going to go up. In that game, if they score a touchdown, they're going to go up probably 24-20. On 2nd and 1, Bobby Wagner blows the whole play up. And Baker Mayfield gets tackled along with Bucky Irving for no gain. So now they have 3rd and 1. And I don't know what happened. Graham Barton, the rookie center, is snapping the ball with Baker Mayfield underneath him right there. And he snapped it. It looked like he snapped it early. Nobody else was ready for the ball. Baker wasn't ready. Nobody in the line moved. The thinking is they snapped it early. And the play gets blown up. And Bucky Irving ends up losing 2 yards on the play. So it becomes 4th and 3. And they kick the field goal to tie it 20-20. And that's the last time the Bucs touched the ball. Washington got the ball. They hit Diami Brown for 25 yards over the middle. They hit Austin Eckler on a screen for 20, and they go down with no time left and kick the game-winning field goal to win 23-20. But the Bucs, they had their chances. Those two mishaps in the fourth quarter were the difference in a very even game. And let's give Jaden Daniels a ton of credit. He got the ball to his receivers, both Diami Brown and to Terry McLaurin, regularly. He got the ball to Zach Ertz. The guy was blitzed. He was harassed. He was pressured. He got away from pressure. He made smart decisions, did not turn the ball over. That was the difference in the game. The Bucs did, and the Commanders didn't. And let's give Dan Quinn a ton of credit. He goes into Tampa. They win their 13th game of the season. 13 games, and they're marching on to Detroit. We'll get to more of this Wildcard Weekend. We've got the Rams-Vikings game to break down tomorrow. We have the Eagles will play the winner of that game in Philadelphia. We'll see who's going to be the best opponent for the Eagles after tonight. And we'll get into a little bit more of these games and maybe more of these coaching decisions tomorrow, only on the Best Football Show. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow.